What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's going on with NIO, Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to talk about why tomorrow is going to be another important day as we have big data coming out, what the news is saying about the markets, and what the news is saying about NIO, as we have a lot of data coming out for today as well. But before I begin the demo's information, before I talk about the headlines that came out for NIO for today and why tomorrow is going to be another important day with big data, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon in just a couple of weeks. Anyways, when it comes to NIO is down about 4.36% for the day. Today, we got a little sell-off today because we got some negative news. The negative news was this: HSBC analyst has lowered their NIO price target by 22.5%. They're saying that the quarterly results were disappointing in their opinion, and they're not really liking what they're seeing. They initially said that NIO is going to push to about 10.2. Now they're saying it's going to actually push to only 7.9, so that's a big downgrade compared to before. And they also said that they're maintaining a strong buy rating for the company, but it's not going to push as much as what they initially expected. That's what they're saying based off the current earnings. And that's despite the fact that when earnings came out, NIO is still not doing too bad. I would say that their guidance was decent overall. And overall, the share price has been pumping since earnings came out. But I just want to note that with this bad news that came out, it was time for NIO to kind of cool off a bit. And we're going to be watching to see if NIO could bounce off a key support. So I first want to talk about tomorrow, why tomorrow is going to be an important day for the markets, how this could affect NIO, and what you should be watching for as time progresses. Anyways, tomorrow is going to be Thursday, March 14th at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the PPI report coming out. We have core PPI, not to mention initial jobless claims. And this is all going to be very, very important. For core PPI year over year, we want this to be around 2%. That's basically very close to what we got previously. That's where the forecast happens to be. And then for PPI for all items, we want that to be around 0.9%. That's very close to what the forecast happens to be. I would say actually around 1% is what we're expecting, between 1.1 and 0.9%, so around 1%. We'll see if it's hotter or not. This is going to affect CPI in a way because it's a leading indicator for CPI. Initial jobless claims, on the other hand, is going to be giving us another forecast at 214,000. We'll see if it's very close to that or not. And then besides that, once that data is out, we basically have 11:30 a.m. being the next time to be watching for the bill auctions for the 4-week and the 8-week. And that is pretty much it in terms of data. But watch an hour before the market opens. Do we get a hot PPI or not? Now, when it comes to earnings, I would just wanted to let you guys know I didn't see any important earnings for after the market closed today. For tomorrow, we have Dollar General, Dick's Sporting Goods, a couple of others. We also have Adobe after the market closes, not to mention more retail ones. So I'll be watching for that. The PPI report could also affect the target rate probabilities. For March 20th, 1 week from now, there's about a 99% chance the Fed keeps rates the same. And that makes a lot of sense because the last CPI report was on the hotter end of the forecasts, and CPI is now decreasing at a slower rates than before. So with that being said, it's more safe for the Fed to kind of keep things as is. That's what the market is kind of expecting. The market's still quite greedy. We're still seeing greed making up the majority of our sentiment, and the VIX is still kind of shuffling around the 50 daily moving average, so we'll see if any moves come. As far as NIO goes, NIO delivered 40 million power swaps to users. A fully charged NIO car leaves a power swap station every 1.23 seconds on average, which is showing good growth and very, very nice improvements. So this is good news for NIO. Let's hope that they continue to grow in this sector, and we'll see how things go moving forward. Once again, NIO sold off because of the HSBC analysts lowering their target on NIO. Despite that, they're still bullish overall. They're still saying it's going to go to 7.9, but they're not as bullish as before when they were saying 10.2 was their target. So it is what it is, guys. But I'm still a big bull on NIO for the long term nonetheless. So we'll see how things go. NIO is also going to unveil its strategy for long life batteries. That's going to be an upgrade from their new services. And this is something they've been talking about for quite some time, upgrading their batteries, getting more and more longer ranges in, and showing more improvements from there. I also want to note that as far as NIO goes, HSBC is the latest analyst that gave a rating. Morgan Stanley also gave NIO an overweight rating. They're still saying they'd buy NIO. They're still bullish overall, but their target is not the same as before. Additionally, the price-price ratio is coming up just slightly signs of improvements, but it's not as strong as it could have been. As far as the dark pool data goes, the volume was at about 42 million, so it's just a little bit below average. So we'll see if anything changes, but it's not dropping on super high volumes. So that's a good sign. So honestly, guys, I wish I was a fortune teller. I wish I knew what's going to happen tomorrow in terms of data. But for tomorrow, we have to watch for the PPI report, core PPI, and all these things, not to mention initial jobless claims an hour before the market opens. So that's going to determine if we get a big bounce or not, and we'll see what happens from there. Anyways, I just want to note that NIO, right now we have this big downtrend on the 4-hour time frame that's being developed, but watch 5.86. If NIO bounces off 5.86 tomorrow and we get a decent PPI, this could help NIO bounce alongside the market, and NIO can make its way back up above 5.99. If it breaks that, 6.12 is coming, and we're going to be looking for a bounce on NIO. If we get a good PPI, that is. If PPI is not as good as expected, if it's a little bit hot, and the market has a negative reaction, NIO could lose 5.86. And if that happens, we're going to be sinking down to 5.66. So those are your levels on NIO. The chart is looking a little bit weaker, but we haven't lost key support yet. And I know, guys, you wish I could give a prediction, but this depends entirely on the data and what reaction we get from the markets. So the best thing I can really tell you is just wait and see. Sometimes you have to do that as a trader. For SPY, the chart is showing some signs of contraction. There is a possibility that's going to come down to about 5.14 if we're bearish. And if we lose that, we're going to be sinking to 512. But if we're bullish, you want to see it break 517.5. If we break that, 518.2 is coming, followed by 519 plus. Now, with this drop that happened at the end of the day, there's this little liquidity grab right over here, but then it's tried to bounce. So there's a real possibility that this thing tries to go a little higher. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. But for now, we're going to be watching this very carefully on SPY. What is the reaction after PPI comes out? Do we push to 517.5 and start breaking out to 520? Or do we end up sinking below 514.5? If we lose that, a bigger drop is coming. Excuse me. Either of these are possibilities. There's a possible liquidity grab down here for it to bounce higher, but I'll wait and see. Now, Tesla's looking very weak despite this. The reason why Tesla's sinking is because we got more downgrades that came out. Basically, yesterday, Deutsche Bank kind of downgraded their deliveries target on Tesla. And then today, we had Wells Fargo downgrade their price target of Tesla. That's not the best of news you want to hear. And because they said Tesla has the possibility of dropping to much lower levels, into the lower 100s, that's why Tesla started sinking. It looks bearish on the 4-hour time frame. This does favor coming down to at least 165, if not 162. But just to be safe, it also depends on other factors. We'll see if PPI affects this or not. But nonetheless, the chart looks bearish. It favors more downside. On Aapl, we're kind of flat right now. We're going to be watching to see if we can try to push above 172 to 174 if we get a decent PPI. If we get a hot one, we get a negative reaction. 168 and 165 are coming. We'll see if we get a bounce or not. Overall, I'm just going to be waiting on Aapl. For the QQQ, okay, the QQQ is, there's a possible head and shoulders like structure developing on the 4-hour time frame, but it's not that convincing to me. I wouldn't fully and solely trade based off this. This could be a trap. This happens all the time, guys. So don't just believe it's going to play out. If we are bearish after PPI, we have to lose 438, then 436. If we lose that, a bigger drop is coming. If we're bullish, you want to see it break above 442 and start pushing higher. Honestly, guys, I wish I could kind of like predict everything. I want to just say that we're holding our 50 EMA at 440 exactly, so there's going to be a big move tomorrow. The chart does favor downside on the QQQ looking at this so far, but nothing is guaranteed. PPI is going to cause the bigger move, so I'm not going to solely trade based off that. So watch and see what happens going into tomorrow. For Nvda is coming down. We're going to be watching 896. If we bounce off this, we could push much higher. It closed above 908, so there is a possible like cup and handle like structure, so it does look like it could bounce here, but we have to hold above 9. If we hold above 9 and 9.908, excuse me, we could push higher towards 925 again, and eventually higher levels like that. If we lose support, we're going to be sinking back down lower, so we'll just have to wait and see. With that being said, guys, the market is very indecisive. We're not really picking a clear direction just yet, so it all depends on PPI. Even the VIX is looking very flat and indecisive. So PPI is going to be the big catalyst, excuse me, for the big move. NIO is sinking towards its 50 EMA on the 4-hour time frame. So we'll see if this thing bounces or not. But with that being said, guys, I just want to say I thank you all so much for listening. Please have an absolutely incredible rest of the day, and I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow. Thank you. Get ready for some big volatility as we have PPI coming out, and peace out.